have there been any dramatic, really big ones? I think it's more common that you make many small ones. But I would say, I mentioned earlier this non-tenure track union. I think that was a situation where I really stepped back and realized I'd flubbed it from the get-go. But big mistakes, they're sometimes a hindsight problem. What I came to recognize was we should have done a lot more homework on that issue and understood better from the very beginning what the concerns in a legitimate, straight up way our non-tenure track faculty had. And to not assume that our labor negotiators, who had primarily dealt with staff unions, would be able to understand the significance of what our non-tenure track faculty were saying to us. So I don't blame our labor team at all, because it's not there. This is where, when you're a member of the faculty and you've come through the tenure stream and you have a sense of what faculty experiences are and the kinds of issues that can arise in a unit, you have an understanding of something that it's very, very hard for your professional academic staff to understand. And likewise, there are things in the professional academic side of the house that the tenure stream faculty will never understand. It's just not inherent to how they think. And the mistake I made was treating that union negotiation process early on, essentially leaving it to the traditional way we had as a university manage that process of negotiating. The reason why it kind of went sideways was because we'd failed to do our homework very well. And ultimately that was my responsibility as the provost with HR reporting up under me, to be better at managing that. Now, once we started to understand it and I started to realize the mistake I'd made, then we turned around and jumped in and really tried to pick the problem apart. And then subsequently, what did I learn from it? Going into and preparing now, hopefully they're still doing this, but the next academic union negotiation we faced was with our graduate students. And so what I wanted to do going into that negotiation was prepare well and early with a team that was going to be a little more diverse and have a better understanding of what the graduate student union is, what their legitimate concerns are, and begin doing the homework early on. Let's talk about not what is the union going to ask for and how do we get the best deal for the campus, but what do our graduate students need, and how are those issues going to be filtered through the union? And the union isn't always the best arbiter of what its particular folks in the bargaining unit need. We know that to be the case. But nevertheless, put the right team in place, spend more time on the upfront deciding what your strategy for the negotiations are going to be, and then make sure you have the right team supporting your traditional labor negotiators. So it was a complicated problem. I would say it was a case of you have administrative procedures in place that have been operating for decades. Staff are lined up to do what they consider more or less cyclical or routine things, and they're doing them the way they did them in the past, and they're being diligent, and everything is working fine, but the playing field's changed. So your system, your institution is organized around to address a particular issue on a playing field that is not the one you're on anymore. And that's what I failed to recognize. And it went needlessly sideways for a time before we could bring it back, because we really hadn't done our homework.